Welcome to another video by ldsnerds. In this video, we explore gospel themes in Star Wars the original trilogy. Now the Star Wars movies, starting with the first movies released in 1977, were replete with spiritual themes. In the first Star Wars movie, retroactively given the tagline Episode 4, A New Hope, written by George Lucas, we are introduced to the concept of the Force. Lucas has said in creating the Force he wanted to awaken a certain kind of spirituality in young audiences, suggesting a belief in God without endorsing any specific religion. In the first movie, we see that the Force can be used to inspire and improve senses, affect the weak-minded, move objects, and even physically harm someone. The later two movies show that Force users can glean information from another's thoughts, connect loved ones' minds, and even allow someone to see a spirit presence after death. Now, the concept of unseen power and influence by those who are good and evil is throughout the scriptures. The Bible in particular refers to witchcraft, sorcerers, familiar spirits, magicians, divination, and soothsayers. There have been possessions of bodies by evil spirits, and Pharaoh's magicians and sorcerers could copy, at least on the surface, most of the miracles that Moses and Aaron performed. It's clear from the scriptures that dark forces have some power on the earth and can affect the living. This power always pales in comparison to those who hold the priesthood and perform acts according to God's will. Mountains are moved, seas parted, the sick and infirm are healed, and even the dead are brought back to life. Good and its influence in the world always conquers evil, and the miracles performed by the Lord's anointed can be spectacular. That doesn't mean that those on the opposing darker side can't put on a show, however. We know from the scriptures that the Antichrist will perform miraculous feats in the last days and challenge the faith of all believers. Ultimately, good will triumph and evil will be defeated. Star Wars A New Hope is a movie where the deeds of the inspired triumph over evil. We aren't done with the Force yet, however, as the second movie in the trilogy expanded the idea of belief in the Force. This movie, titled The Empire Strikes Back, with a story play written by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan, was based on a story by George Lucas. Here we're introduced to Jedi Master Yoda, who was said to have trained Obi-Wan Kenobi, and is supposed to train Luke Skywalker as well. Luke crashes his X-Wing into the swamp of Dagobah, the planet Yoda is living on. When he tries to raise his X-Wing using the Force, he fails. Afterwards, Yoda does it himself. After witnessing this, Luke says, "I don't believe it," to which Yoda replies, "And that is why you fail." Now, if we examine this exchange a little more closely, we see that belief, that is to say, faith, is apparently required to master the Force. In the first movie, Obi-Wan tells Luke to trust his feelings and let go his conscious self. He tells him his eyes can deceive him and not to trust them. This echoes the idea from Alma 32:21 that faith is hope for things which are not seen, which are true. Yoda then demonstrates that without believing in the ability to do great things with the Force, Luke simply can't do them. Yoda tells Luke he must unlearn what he has learned. He explains that all life is connected, and that the difference between performing what some would call minor miracles and more major ones is only in one's own mind. The Lord tells his disciples in Matthew 17:20 that if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Now, moving mountains seems like it would be much harder than lifting an X-Wing. When Luke says he will try, Yoda firmly explains, Try not. Do or do not. There is no try. Now, some people think this quote is tough love, and more about success or failure, leaving nothing in between for an excuse. However, Yoda is actually explaining that focus, single-mindedness, and commitment, as well as belief, are all required to achieve what you desire. We read a similar thought from the Lord in James 1, verses 6 through 8. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Similarly, Yoda tries to warn Luke that in order to save his friends, he must become a full believer first. In the third film of the original trilogy, we learn about redemption of the seemingly unredeemable. This film, titled Return of the Jedi, has a screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan and George Lucas based on a story by Lucas. Here we see Luke turn himself over to his father Darth Vader in the hopes that he can turn Vader back to the side of light. He tells Vader that Anakin Skywalker is his true self. He has only forgotten. However, after realizing his friends have been led into a trap and goaded on by the evil Emperor, Luke lightsaber battles Vader in anger, but stops when he cuts off Vader's hand, similar to what Vader did to him in Empire Strikes Back. Luke refuses to further fight and also refuses to join the Emperor, to which the Emperor replies that he can instead die, and begins to kill him via Force lightning. Luke begs for Darth Vader to save him, and after some internal conflict, Vader throws the Emperor down a shaft, sacrificing himself in the process, as his suit can no longer keep him alive. He tells Luke, "You were right about me," before he passes. As Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker had relentlessly pursued and killed many people, stood by as the Death Star completely destroyed the planet Alderaan and all its inhabitants, gave Han Solo to bounty hunters, and tried to kill his own son several times. He seemed to be a servant of only the darkness, so much so that Obi-Wan first told Luke his father was killed by Vader. To Obi-Wan, the man known as Anakin was lost for good. To Luke, at least once he became a Jedi Master of Light, redemption was still possible, and he sensed the good in his father. In the Gospel, we learn that the Lord looketh on the heart. In the Bible, we are introduced to a man named Saul in Acts 7, who stands by as the prophet Stephen is stoned to death, and who regularly persecutes members of Christ's church and throws them in prison. Saul encounters the Lord and becomes a changed man and an apostle of Jesus Christ. As part of this rebirth, he becomes known as Paul, and he is the person we have to thank for a good portion of the Bible today. In the Book of Mormon, in Mosiah 27, the story is told of Alma, son of Alma, and the sons of Mosiah, who try to destroy the church. They too are led back to the light after an encounter with an angel of the Lord, and turn into some of the greatest missionaries recorded in the Book of Mormon. We learn that this was in part due to the faith-filled prayers of their fathers. The idea of someone turning their life around is a central part of the gospel, even those who are deemed lost or evil by others. The Lord always sees the good in all of his children. In Return of the Jedi, seeing the good in someone who seemed unredeemable saved the soul of not only Anakin Skywalker, but the entire galaxy. That's all for this video. If you have other gospel themes or tie-ins you found in the original Star Wars trilogy, let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching another LDS Nerds creation. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and tell your friends about us. And if you also like buying nerdy merchandise that combines pop culture and gospel themes, check out our store. Until next time, may the Force be with you.